All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This is going to be a lesson on how all of Esau's hatred, all of his schemes that he plans against the children of Israel, is ultimately going to equal into him losing, right? Whereas they have it in their mind that we're going to lose because of all the things that they're doing, man. But it's actually going to be them that are going to lose, man, right? It's actually going to be them that are going to lose. Let's get some scriptures, man. I've been thinking about this for like the last couple of days, because anytime you see any video where an Israelite commits a crime, right? You'll see these Edomites come on the comment board and they always want to make it a racial thing, right? But then when they commit a crime, it's like these Edomites forget about how justice works, and there's always some kind of excuse that they want to put in the way of why they committed that crime. But when it comes to an Israelite, they never do that, man. So if they was to even have these countries that they have their own people in, and purely their own people, they wouldn't really properly do justice there anyway, according to how they seem to not know about what justice is when it comes to one of their own people, but all of a sudden know how things should be judged when it comes to us, man. This is Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh weigheth the spirits. And you'll notice that when it comes to these Edomites, when an Edomite's talking to another Edomite, or when Edomites are talking about how Edomites have did things, they'll always be able to sound like they're righteous when they're talking about themselves and about their own nation's actions, right? But when it comes to another nation talking about things that Esau have did, well, then you'll realize that actually everyone's got something bad to say about them, man. And that has made me think about this scripture, right? Sirach chapter 10 and verse 30. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 30. The poor man is honored for his skill, and the rich man is honored for his riches. That's the reason why everyone even puts up with the BS that Esau does, man. And that's why when Babylon the Great gets destroyed, which is the land of America, the only reason why the merchant ships and the people that have did business with America, all their former allies, right, all their former business partners, the only reason why they're going to be mourning when you read about the destruction of Babylon the Great is because of money. It's not because they're going to be like, oh man, this land was such a righteous place and the people over there never did anything wrong. The owners of that land never did anything wrong. The country had such a great and grand history that was so fair and just, right? It's going to be because they stopped making money, man. Verse 31, he that is honored in poverty, how much more in riches, right? And we as Israelites, we get honor in poverty. We're not rich, man, but we get honor in the situation that we're even in now, man. These people love to try and stop in their day and find a so-called famous Israelite and want to take pictures with him and all this stuff, man. These people still now love Mike Tyson, right? And despite how much these people want to scoff and say stuff about Floyd Mayweather, they're still running down and want to take a picture with him. They want to take a picture with Anthony Joshua. They love him, right? They want to take a picture with Idris Elba. They love him too, right? He's universally liked by all of these different nations, man. They get honor for their skill, right? Despite what any of these people want to say, they give Israelites honor for their skill, man. Right? But Esau only gets honor really because people know they can make money with him. They don't really like him as a person. And that's why Esau goes around to everyone's countries and makes sure that he keeps them under a certain amount of subjection and doesn't want no other country to get any even close to the kind of wealth that he's got, right? But then he'll claim that he wants people to leave his country and go to their own country, but he don't, right? And I'm gonna get that in a minute as well. And he that is dishonorable in riches, how much more in poverty? So when Esau don't have no money no more, these nations are gonna show him what they really think about him, man, right? They're gonna show him how they really feel about how he's did things on the earth and how he's destroyed their people. And he knows this deep down. And that's why, despite all these heathens, these Edomites talk about, oh, if you don't like it here, go back to your own country and all of that. Listen, man, whenever people do go to their own country, they'll always find you Edomites over there for some reason or the other. Anyway, you Edomites are always in everyone's country. When you Edomites go on holiday, you're acting a damn fool, right? You're bringing that binge drinking Edomite culture over there, right? Acting a damn fool in people's countries. You're always doing that. So don't try and come and try and make it like you're so holy and righteous and talk about immigration and all of these things. Because look at what you do and look at the history of your life and as you people as a nation, man. Look at the story of the land of America. Was that not based on you Edomites immigrating and stealing other people's country? What about what happened in Australia? Since you Edomites are so smart. And then all you Edomites in the UK, you always want to complain about immigration. But when has this country never had people of different nations going into it? When has that been the case? Since you're so smart and you think you know so much. And that's why nobody likes you people, man, because you're hypocrites. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15, woe unto him that giveth his neighbour to drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken. Also because you Edomites are blinded by your own wickedness. You're drunk by wanting to just live the complete opposite of the ways of the Bible, man. Even though when an Ishmaelite comes over and starts reading from his book, right, which we don't care about them neither. I don't care about nothing to do with that Quran thing that they're talking about, man. I don't rate that. I'm about the Bible, right? But you Edomites, when you see these people come over and want to read all of that, you'll say this is a Christian country, this is a Christian country, but you Edomites don't even follow the Bible anyway. The Church of England is actively promoting a lifestyle, right? A relationship lifestyle between the same gender. That's completely against the scriptures, man. But none of you so-called righteous Edomite Christians have got anything to say about it. But then you've got something to say about anyone else that does anything, man. And you want to boast about how your countries are so free. Well, it's not supposed to be free. It's supposed to be according to how the Bible does things, even for your own people, if you're so righteous. But you're not, though, are you? And that's why nobody really likes you Edomites, man. They'll be in your countries and they'll be around you and they'll do business with you to make money. That's the only reason why they're there. And you Edomites know that deep down, man. And that's why you have to try and oppress people. And you say that you want them to do their own thing in their own countries, but you really don't, though. You really don't want to do that. That's why you're always in everyone else's country, stealing out all their property and their resources and not giving them a price, right? And not wanting to give them a price that they could live in their own country. And the average person in their country have a higher level of wealth. Verse 16, thou art filled with shame for glory. In fact, let me go back to verse 15. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbour drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And the reason why Esau goes around to try and defile every other nation is because he already knows that he's condemned. So he wants everybody else to be as wicked as him, because despite the talk of, oh, we're Caucasian, we're so-called white people, we're British. No, you're not. You're Edomites, right? And when you read about what the judgment of Esau is in the Bible, it's to be destroyed by the Lord, Yahweh, right? And you Edomites can feel that within your spirit. You know that the Bible is not really for you. And that's why, despite you having the ability and the power to push that out on the world, you don't do it. And how do we know that you've got the ability to push the laws of the Bible in the world and make people start following that if you wanted to? Because you've got the power, and you've got the power to push alphabeting rainbow culture, right? That LG stuff, that LGB and T stuff, right? And you're doing that. You're making sure that you go over to other people's countries and you're telling them to do that. So in the same way how you do that to everyone, and you're always making sure that you try and defile the story of the rainbow and make it be a thing for Sodom and Gomorrah type living, instead of to make it be a memorial of how God destroyed the earth and how he said he was never going to destroy the earth with a flood again, right? You make sure to push that rainbow for that, when you could easily have the same way push the rainbow and make it be a thing where people respect the Lord. But you don't do that because you don't care for the Lord, because you know within your spirits that that's not for you, man. So you want everybody else to be wicked as you are, because you just want everyone to be destroyed. Then, if you want everyone to live wickedly like you are, because a wicked world, right, is your natural habitat. It's normal for you Edomites to be wicked. That's your natural default setting, man, to be against the Lord. And despite all of the talk about how you're for the Lord and all that, no, you're not, man. No, you're not. You're not for the Lord, and you're not really for the Bible, man. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor to drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and makest him drunk also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. You want to be able to see the disgusting ways that you do things in everyone else, man. Right? You're not going to be happy until every other nation is as evil and wicked as you are, because then you'll be able to feel justified for how you're so wicked. You'll be able to feel like, well, oh yeah, see, all these other people would copy my wicked ways if they got the chance. And that's why you Edomites can't, in all the Hollywood stuff and all of that, and even over here in the UK, you can't just give somebody a record deal because they got some talent. You have to give them a record deal, and then they have to do some next dodgy stuff behind the scenes, right? And all that stuff's coming out there, man. It's all coming out on the things that you Edomites are really about, man. Verse 16, thou art filled with shame for glory, right? Because every single time you Edomites want to talk about how good you are, there's always somebody else, even sometimes from your own people, talking about, actually, no, you're not righteous. Actually, you're saying all of this about yourself and trying to sing out your own praises, but actually, you're not what you think you are. You're actually not a good person, despite your talking out your mouth about how good you are, man. And that's starting to irritate you Edomites, because you want to think that you're good people, but you're not. Right? You're not good people, and you're doing exactly the same thing as what Pharaoh did. Right? You're doing exactly the same thing as what Pharaoh did, man. Pharaoh had the Israelites in captivity and kept destroying them every chance he got, man. He kept making their labor harder. Every time they was complaining about him, he thought, well, that's just because they're lazy. That's what Pharaoh was saying. The reason why the Israelites is talking about going into their own land to serve Yahweh is because they're lazy. So let's make life harder for them, and then maybe they won't worry about work. He said, you're idle. You're idle. That's what Pharaoh was saying, right? And that's what you Edomites say. You want to call us lazy, as every time you see that we ain't doing something that's for your life. That's when all of a sudden we're some lazy bums, because we ain't doing things for your life, man. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 16, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shame for spewing shall be on thy glory. Right? And people are starting to realize that the way how your philosophy and your way of living on the earth is actually doesn't lead to a righteous kingdom, man. It actually defiles the people's minds, and then you start getting people that don't even know how many genders there are. You start getting people that are marching to be able to have their babies you start having a society where women march for the rights to be able to have the babies that are growing in their womb dragged out. And then you start actually going to other people's countries that don't want to do that kind of thing and helping them do it. And then you want to call yourself righteous. And all these Edomites that want to get on their high horse and talk about how all these other nations are so bad. Well, what about the things you're doing, man? Since you're a Christian country, right? Well, how about the Bible verse where it says, take the beam out of your own eye? How about that verse? Because we'll happily, as so-called black people, Latinos and Native Americans, we always talk about the things that our people do as a nation. We've actually got a name for the wicked people of our nation. We call them 2/3. Right? We actually have made a name, and we go in on them, man. We talk about them on a regular. We talk about how they're going to be destroyed by Yahweh. But you Edomites don't do that. You just talk about what everyone else does. That's all you ever do. And then you talk about how the government's so corrupt to a certain degree, but then you're still going to vote for them because you're idiots, man. You Edomites think that you're the smartest people on the earth, but you're actually the most stupid. And the only reason why you're in power is because Yahweh set you up in this position to show how not to live, to show how not to do things. And that's why when it's time for your kingdom to be ended, you're not going to be able to make it last 1 second more than it's supposed to land, man. One more second more than it's supposed to last. This is Sirach chapter 41 and verse 5. Sirach chapter 41, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 41 and verse 5. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach, because the former descendants of those former oppressors, right? When they try and boast about their nation, everyone knows, listen, man, don't boast about being rich because we know where it came from. Take away all the money that you made from the Atlantic slave trade, you wouldn't have what you think you got. You wouldn't have it. And that's why, despite having all those advantages, there's still so many of you Edomites that are bums, right? There's still so many of you Edomites that can't read, right? You can't read. There's still so many of you Edomites that don't even know how to wash your skin, right? But then you're so righteous according to your own mind. No, you're not, man. It's sickening the way how you Edomites will get in a group of your own selves and talk about how righteous you are. And then when someone else starts talking about, actually, no, you're not, because this is what you did to my country. You're like, well, nah, that I don't believe that's true. Nah, everyone's did things like that. I don't accept that. I don't accept that to be true. Despite you Edomites talking about how much Israelites might do harm to each other, well, we can just take a magnifying glass and shine it over what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. And that's Edomites that are harming each other. So don't try and talk about the things that we're doing when you do the same things on a more grand scale, man. You can't find no footage of us having military armies going against each other. You can't find no footage of us doing that against each other where we're taking tanks and rolling into each other's neighborhoods. Now, I'll be honest, if we had tanks and stuff like that, a lot of Israelites would do that kind of stuff, right? But you Edomites do have tanks and you are doing it. So if some knife crime's bad, right? Well, then that's surely worse, right? That's surely worse. That's surely way worse, right? But you wouldn't want to admit that because you just want to point the finger at everybody else, man. And it doesn't matter. You're supposed to do that because this lesson is about, despite all the hatred and the lies that you Edomites have did and all the things that you're planning in your minds right now with how you're planning to set up us as the problem of the earth. Like, it's ridiculous. These Edomites try to blame us for that pandemic, man. Somehow a pandemic that started in a whole nother continent that you won't really find much of us in Asia, right? That's what they said, right? It started in Asia. Somehow that was our fault, and somehow we're the main people spreading it. And they even said Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They somehow tried to spread that and make that be our fault, man. Which that didn't work because Yahweh was against you trying to do that, man. But there is going to be a time where you do get to make up a lie and blame us for it, man. But then it's still not going to work anyway because Yahweh's allowing it to happen. So that ultimately he can show his power when he destroys you all. And you Edomites like to test things out, and you're going to test that out, man. You're going to get tired of hearing us say that we're the Israelites, and you're going to want to see if it's true, man. But read in the scriptures any nation that ever came up against us, right? And see what happened to them, man. You Edomites are getting ready to be made an example out of the same way how Pharaoh was made an example out of. And if you don't know the story, read it, man. Read the book of Exodus. Because that's that same thing that it mentioned the Pharaohs and the Egyptians doing. That's the same thing that so-called white people have been doing to us. The Israelites, man, so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans. But when you start bringing out the scriptures, you realize that these Edomites don't want to talk about that. And that's why in their slave Bible that they gave to our ancestors, right, they didn't have the story of Exodus in there. Why not? Why did they take the story of Exodus out of the slave Bible that they gave to Israelites? Why did they take it out? If it's their book, right? as people want to say. We ain't going to take out the book of Obadiah. We ain't going to take out the book of Exodus when we have our oppressors in oppression. We ain't going to take out nothing. We're going to keep every single thing in there, man. And we're going to let every single nation know exactly where they are within the book, man. Sirach chapter 41 and verse 7. The children will complain of an ungodly father because they should be reproached for his sake. And that's all they do. They're happy to try and throw all the guilt on their ancestors. Okay, that did happen, but that was our ancestors. Right? But they don't allow that nobody else to do that though. They don't like for anybody else to try and blame anyone else, even in the modern time. Like if a so-called black man commits a crime and we say, oh, that was him only that did it, they'll be like, nah, we've started to notice a trait within your people. Okay, well, we've started to notice a trait within your people. And it all leads to you being an Edomite to the book. We've started just how you can notice a trait in us. Okay, we're noticing a trait in you, man. But you think that you're invincible and that no one can't tell you nothing, man, and that's not true. Because we are telling you something, man. And we're telling you that this, you know what, this is what we're telling you. This is what this lesson's about in general. That despite all of their hatred and all the things that they've did, ultimately, it leads to their own demise. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, which is you so-called white people. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us go, let us rise up against her in battle. Now, people see the word rumor and they'll say, oh, see, it's only a rumor. Well, everything's a rumor until it happens, right? Every single prophecy you could say is a rumor, right? Every single prophecy that's written in the Bible, you could say, oh, that's just a rumor, right? Until it happens, then it's prophecy, right? And that this is for all you people that say the Bible's been changed and all that. Okay, you can say the Bible's been changed, right? But if the things that Hebrew Israelites are saying are going to happen, and we're using the Bible to explain why we think these events are going to take place, then doesn't that mean that the Bible isn't changed and that the Bible is a prophetic book? Because we're using the Bible to point out things that we think are going to happen in the future. And we're reading about people in the Bible and we're saying that's this people really, like they're calling themselves this, but really they're Esau. They're calling themselves that, but really they're Ishmael. Okay, it says Magog and Gog here, but really that's talking about this is what Russia's going to do. Because the names that God gave to people and to places are not the same names necessarily that people are going to put on themselves. So a man could call himself an Israelite, but really he's an Edomite. A man can say he's black all he wants, but really he's an Israelite. A man can say he doesn't believe in the scriptures at all, and he doesn't believe in God. But if he's an Israelite, well then he's an Israelite. And it don't matter what he says out of his mouth. God knows what he is. Right? Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And that's why the reputation of you Edomites is starting to be drained out, man. People are no longer just believing in that I'm a so-called white person thing, man. People are starting to question you more and more every single day. They're starting to look at you and actually critique your kingdom. When you point out how everyone else lives, people are now starting to point out your own country. But because you Edomites have got such pride, you try and blame all the problems in your own country on the heathens that have came there according to what you think a heathen is. You try and blame on all the other races and all the other people that have came to your countries instead of you really considering actually you're a problem too. Because you break the law too. Your leaders break the law to a high degree. The people that you set up as the leaders of your countries, man, and the faces of your countries, they break the law. They've got scandals and all these different kind of things that come up against them all the time. And you Edomites ain't got nothing to say about that. But then when they bring an Israelite as the image of that same crimes, then all of a sudden you want to be like, oh, see, yeah, bury him in the jail. You all of a sudden know how righteousness works then. You all of a sudden understand justice when it ain't you it ain't one of your people that has to go through it. And it's sickening, man. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. And when you go to these city centers, man, and he's standing around him. They look like mountains that have been carved and carved out to become businesses, man. They're all high. It looks like mountains and caves, man. You Edomites love to live like that. And you've made everyone else in the earth copy that. Whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that's how you think. And that's why when you hear people talk like how I'm talking right now, you assess the person and you're like, well, this guy doesn't really look like he's got an army, so who cares what he's got to say? He doesn't really look like he's rich, so I don't really care about what he's got to say. I don't really care about what he's talking about, because it doesn't look like no one's listening to this guy. I don't care. That's how you think, man, because you're arrogant and you're proud. But you're going to end up seeing at the end of all of this what it ends up equaling into for you people, man. And you're going to look back on your kingdom and be like, man, where did it all go wrong? At which point should we have just relaxed and just said, you know what, this is as far as we're prepared to go. Let's just enjoy this. You're going to consider that, man, when you're in the position that you've tried to put other people in. You're going to consider that and you're going to say, you know what, we should have just relaxed once we got this point to this point, man. And we should have just kept it like that. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? And that's normally, would they not leave some grapes? And that's normally how taking something from a person goes. You don't take everything. Like if someone robs someone for their phone, they normally make the person keep their trousers. You know, the guy might have glasses, make him keep the trousers, they keep the glasses. They don't take everything. But when Yahweh takes from you Edomites and makes you lose, he's going to make you lose everything, man. You're going to lose everything, to the point where you even lose your nation and all your descendants, man. You're going to lose everything. There's not going to be nothing left, man. That's the disdain that the God of the Bible has for you Edomites, man. And that's why you don't like him. And that's why when you Edomites read the book of Obadiah, you can't shrug off that that's how you did things. You can't try and read the book of Obadiah. You tried to not even mention the book of Obadiah. That didn't even really get mentioned in the church, man. You didn't mention the Israelites being cursed. You never used to want to mention these things, man. And that's why we had to find it out from our apostles, man. And the apostles found it out from them reading it and from their teachers. But you never brought that information out, did you? Because it's not for you. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. And that's because people only wanted to be around you Edomites because of money. But now they're starting to realize, you know what? Maybe we can make money and do this financial thing our own way. So they're starting to try and make their own ideas and their own schemes and their own plans behind the scenes. And that's why there's no longer just a NATO. Now there's a BRICS, right? They're starting to feel like, you know what? We can try and come up with our own way outside of what they're doing, man. Because we don't like how they do things. And these are the former allies, the people that still even now do business with you. But you Edomites are arrogant, so you're not going to believe this. Because Yahweh has hardened your heart, just like he hardened the heart of Pharaoh. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. So the people that are scheming against you, Edomites, man, all your allies, they're going to win. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in them. And that's why you've got these bugged out presidents and that are falling over. They can't talk. You're losing your understanding, man. That's why you don't know how many genders there are. That's why you talk about how you're so oppressed as a people and that everyone is just against you, right? But then the main problems that you have to worry about is that he's trying to make there be no genders anymore. That is not the way our people that are oppressed. They're worried about basic necessities when you're oppressed. You ain't worried about trying to change rules that have been around forever. That there's two genders. That is not what you start talking about when you're oppressed. Verse 8, Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 8, shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau, man, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So you Edomites are going to eventually even lose the power that you have with the sword, man, which is the main thing that you love. You're going to even lose that ability. Because when Yahweh Shai comes back and goes to war with you nations, especially Esau, after that war takes place, and you lose easily, by the way, right? The swords are going to be destroyed, man. All the guns, all the weapons of warfare are going to be destroyed, and the materials are going to be turned into other things. And if you don't believe that, well, I'm going to get the prophecy right now. And it's written in two places. Ezekiel 39 is one place, if I'm not mistaken. But it's also written in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, and I'm going to read there. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And that's going to be a big cut to the soul for Esau, because he loves war. Right? He loves making weapons. He loves that. He loves inventing things to kill people. He loves that. That's their history. That's what they've always loved to do, man. They've always loved violence. Despite them talking about everyone else's violence, they've always loved violence, man. They've always loved it. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10. For violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And that's going into what you Edomites did to us, man. The so-called black man, Latino, Native American man, and the so-called white man, right, are the two closest relations on the earth. We both go back to Abraham. Well, excuse me, let's go back further. We both go back to Shem, right? We both go back to Arphaxad, right? We both go back to Terah. We both go back to Abraham. We both go back to Isaac, right? But then when it comes to Isaac's two sons, that's where we split, because you so-called white people, you go back to Esau, and we go back to Jacob. And if you don't believe you go back to Esau, that's fair enough. Who cares? You do though. Esau's blessing, when you read it in the Bible, was a sword, meaning the ability to create weapons, right? Who does that better than Caucasian people? Nobody. It says in the Bible that he was red. Whose skin's red on this earth? Only one group, right? It says in the Bible that Esau had a perpetual hatred for Jacob. Now, if we know that we're Jacob, then we have to look out and see, well, who are the main people that hate our guts? And we know who that is. So therefore, in us understanding that we're Israelites, then we'll know that you are the Edomites. You have to be. In Ezekiel 35, it talks about the perpetual hatred that Esau had for Jacob. And that perpetual hatred, by where you are jealous that we got the birthright of the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Even though you didn't care for none of that stuff anyway, because the proof is that right now you're not keeping it. You've got the ability to do it, and you're not doing it. Oh, yeah. So that's the proof, man. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. And that's how you Edomites are, man. People are believing that you so-called white people in the land of Israel, they're believing that you're the chosen, and yet you're still not doing what the chosen would do. You're not trying to show the Lord, see, you should have just made us be the children of the covenant. Because look at how we're doing the laws, but Jacob ain't doing it. That's not what you're doing, man. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 10, for violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Right? And now I'm going to jump to verse 18, man. In fact, I'm going to go verse 15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon their own head. So if you so-called white people are not really the Edomites, right? Well, then none of these things that I've said are going to happen, right? And if you've never did nothing bad to us as a nation, well, then you've got nothing to worry about, right? Because all the things that you've did were good to us, right? So then the reward that you're going to receive upon your own head are going to be good things, aren't they? But if the things that you did were actually evil and wicked towards us, well, then you've got a lot to worry about, because the same things that you did to us are going to be done back to you, right? Which some of the things that you did will not be done back to you, because some of the things that you did are so evil and wicked that it's not lawful for us to do that thing. So Yahweh's going to have to put it in our mind to do a righteous version of the wickedness that you did in a righteous way. So that leaves you Edomites a lot to think about in that regard too, man. What could that be? What could the thing that we've did that was so unlawful according to the Bible be, that God's going to have to make a righteous equivalent for that? And I'm sure you'll be able to find more than one thing. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18, and this is the overall point of this lesson, that despite all the hatred and the envy and the wrath that these Edomites have put out against the children of Israel, which is the Negro, Latino, and Native American man, right? It ultimately is going to end in this thing that I'm about to read here happening to you, right? Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. The northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Israel are going to reunite, which is not the message that you were hearing about from those people in the land of Israel claiming to be the chosen, because they try and make it like they don't know where them people are. Everyone wants to laugh at the 12 tribe sign, but that's an attempt, even if you want to say it ain't true, which we don't believe that, but that's an attempt at trying to find where the tribes are, right? And nobody ever questions anybody else that puts a little circle hat on their head saying that they're an Israelite. But then as soon as we say it, everyone wants all kind of proof. They want your mom's DNA, they want your dad's DNA, you know? They want to see us in a land of Israel for doing some farming or something. They want to see everything under the sun. When we say that we're the chosen, but then when those other people said it, they don't need nothing. When some Asian people say it, and then they get an airplane sent over to Asia and then get brought to Israel, no one ain't questioning that. They ain't saying, you know what, how do they prove that? When the Ethiopians are saying it, they ain't got nothing to say about that either. It's just only when we say it that they always all of a sudden got all these questions, man. They're turning to Chris Tarrant when we say it. They got all these questions and they want answers. But when anyone else says it, they ain't got nothing to say. It's sickening. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18, and the house of Jacob will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau a stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh have spoken it. So even if every single Israelite was to say, we love Esau, man, we don't want you to destroy him, Lord, don't destroy him. If there's one righteous among Edom, would you spare the nation? Well, there ain't no righteous among Edom, and Yahweh's destroying them because he wants to. Right? And let's read about that, man. Yahweh's destroying the Edomites ultimately because he wants to destroy them. So it wouldn't even matter if every single Israelite said, nah, don't do it, Lord, and we all turned east, right? There ain't nowhere. King Solomon didn't pray for the Israelites if they turned east for Yahweh to spare Esau, right? He prayed to Yahweh for if all the Israelites pray and turn to the east, for him to gather us out of the captivities that we're in. But let's say every single Israelite said, you know what? We love Esau so much that we're all going to turn east at this particular time. And okay, some of us don't live in the same country, so we're all going to get our watches synchronized, and we're all going to know based on what time we are living in each country, exactly what time to wake up if we need to wake up, right? Exactly what time we need to stop work if we're working in countries, right? And we're all going to turn to the east and wherever we are and pray for Esau, right? So that Yahweh don't fulfill Obadiah, the first chapter and the 18th verse. Would that work? No, it wouldn't, man. Because Yahweh wants to do it. And I'm going to read it, man. Romans chapter 9 and verse 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. The reason why Yahweh is going to destroy you Edomites isn't because you did nothing went from your foundation of your nation that was wicked. Because when you was in the womb, you couldn't commit no sins. And when Esau was in the womb of Rebekah, that was a new nation, right? That was a new nation, newly created in the womb. And let me prove that. Because these are the things that you're not going to hear about from the Christian church, man. They're going to try and make out like Jacob and because Jacob and Esau are twin brothers, that means that they're the same people. But the Bible don't say that. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 21. And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren, and Yahweh was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. So when Esau was in the womb of Rebekah as a baby, right, that was the beginning of a new nation that had got a clean slate, right? They haven't got no sins to their charge. They haven't did nothing right, and they haven't did nothing wrong, right? That was a new nation. Okay, the descendants of Esau, I mean the ancestors of Esau, they had their thing to do with the flood and all of that, right? Just like how Jacob had. But Esau, when in this particular time, was a new nation, right? That's got no charges, no sins against them as a nation yet, because they're a new nation. And the founder of that nation has not even yet been born, right? Yet when it says, what does it say in Romans 9? For the children being not yet born, which really you could say for the nations being not yet born, for the nation not yet born, man. Because that was an Esau when he came out, he was the start of a nation. Just like how Jacob, when he came out, he was the start of a nation. I just read it. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 23. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So 2 different nations came out of a woman's womb, man. And now some of you people didn't want to believe that. But then where did all these nations that you say come from then? All the people that you say are nations in this earth right now, where did they come from? And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy gum, and they called his name Esau. And after that his brother came out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 old when she bare him. Now Jacob didn't come out red, and you people can say that he didn't all you want to, and that he can't. Of course he did. Well, prove it then, because fraternal twins exist. And how did Jacob then create a son that ended up going to Egypt and being able to deceive his brothers into believing that he's an Egyptian after they didn't see him for a while, after they sold him into slavery? And how did the same nation end up having a man called Paul in it that was confused for an Egyptian? And the same nation had a man called Moses that came from it that was confused for an Egyptian. So how does that work? Now, back to this, Romans chapter 9 and verse 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth, it was said unto her, the elders shall serve the younger. I read that in Genesis 25. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. So when Esau was first being born back in the book of Genesis, right, Yahweh hated him back then. When you're reading about Esau being born in Genesis 25 and 21, right, to verse 26, Yahweh hated him back then, man. Why? Just because. Just because, man. He just hates you, right? Now you might not believe that, but that's what it is, man. He just hates you, man. Verse 5, Romans chapter 9 and verse 15, for he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of Yahweh that showeth mercy. So you Edomites can't force yourself to receive mercy from the Lord, man. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you put onto yourself, calling yourself Israelites, you say, we're the chosen. It don't matter. You're not the chosen. It doesn't matter if you say that we're not the chosen. We are the chosen. And time's going to show that to be the truth. When you Edomites get angry so much that we keep saying that and decide to try and test it out, you're going to find that it's true. That's what's going to end up ultimately happening, man. You're going to get so sick and tired of hearing us say that you're going to try and prove that we're not. And in trying to prove that we're not, you're going to prove that we are. Romans chapter 9 and verse 16 said, "And it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of Yahweh that showeth mercy." Right? Because no one can make themselves be the chosen, man, if they're not. And let me get this scripture. Romans chapter 4 and verse 13, "For the promise that he should be heir of the world was not to Abram or to his seed through the law," right? "But through the righteousness of faith, and faith's given by the Lord." Even you so-called Edomite Christians, you know that. You love reading Ephesians 2 and 8, right? You even know that faith's a gift, right? So it doesn't even matter if you Edomites can try and point out, and you so-called Christians can try and point out that we don't keep the law, and you can try and say, oh, these Israelites were saying that they kept the Passover last night, but really they don't, because we don't know where their lamb came. They don't even know where their lamb came from. Their lamb had broken bones in it. Well, the Bible here says right here, Romans chapter 4 and verse 13, "For the promise that he should be heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law." So us not keeping the law properly right now still doesn't mean that we're not going to be the heirs of the world, man. "But through the righteousness of faith. For if they which were of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and a promise made of none effect." So if some people could put us in slavery, right? Let's just say 500 years. Let's just say, for example, let's just pretend for 500 years ago that some people put another group of people in slavery, right? Dragged them all different places of the earth, beat their real nationality out of them, and told them that they're black. Let's just use that color, and told them that they're black and that they're monkeys, that they're 3/5 of a human being, knowing that these people are actually Israelites, right? And then these people grow up to not believe that they're anything apart from what they've ever been told that they are. But really, these people are Israelites, and they've got a lineage that goes all the way back to Abraham, and God chose them to be the heir of the world. Does that then stop because they don't keep the law? Or is the promise that God made with their forefather Abraham stronger than their ability to keep the law? Well, what does the Bible say? Let's read it again. Romans chapter 4 and verse 15 and verse 14. In fact, verse 13. "For the promise that he should be heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect." Right? "Because the law worketh wrath, for it is no law, there is no transgression. Therefore it is of faith, that it might be by grace." So we're going to end up receiving that beautiful kingdom that you Christians try and read about and try and claim as is your thing. And that's just a thing for the Gentiles now, and no longer even for Israel at all. Because you've got a lying doctrine of supersessionism, replacement theology, right? We're going to receive that by grace, man. And you ain't going to be able to point out that, oh, well, we talk about the laws, but they've got mixed fabrics. Okay. Or you talk about laws, but they ain't keeping the Sabbath properly. All right. We ain't. Okay, you've got me. We didn't keep the Sabbath properly. We don't know whether the goat was a year old or not. We don't know whether the lamb was a year old neither. Okay. Does that mean that we're not the seed of the promise though? No, it don't, man. And that's why all the stuff that you're doing, all the hatred that you've got, you're just adding to judgment that you're going to receive in the future, man. That's all you're doing. Verse 16, Romans chapter 4 and verse 16, "Therefore it is of faith, that it might be by grace, to the end the promise might be sure to all the seed." not to that only which are of the law, but to that which is of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all, meaning all Israelites, man, not everyone on the earth. It's ridiculous to try and make Abraham be the father of all the earth. That's stupid. There's people that don't even come from the line of Shem. So how could Abraham be the father of everyone? He's talking about the father of all Israelites, man. He's the beginning of that chosen line, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Romans chapter 8 and Romans chapter 9 and verse 16. So then it is not of him that willeth, that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy. And God's ultimately going to show mercy unto all of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ultimately, that's what he's going to do, man. But some are going to receive it after death by pain. Some are going to receive it through with shame and everlasting contempt, man. But they're going to receive it. That's the point. Verse 17, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, which is what I was mentioning earlier, about how you Edomites are really the same as Pharaoh, man. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore he hath mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. He's having mercy on us, the Israelites, even though we're some stiff-necked, or a lot of the Israelites, right? All the things that racist people say about the 2/3 of Israel, a lot of the stuff that they say is true, right? And we would actually agree with a lot of the things that they say about the 2/3 of Israel, man, about how wicked they are. I would agree with a lot of that stuff, right? Yet for all of that, they're still going to receive mercy before you receive it. And that's the love that Yahweh has for the Israelites, man. But they're going to still have to be punished before they receive it, and they're still going to have to go back up to the spirit world and come back down again before they receive it. But yet they're still going to receive it before you do, because you're never getting it. And when that realization really gets put into the heads of you, gets put into the minds of you Edomites, that's when you're going to lose the plot. And that's when you're going to want to test and prove and try and show the world, no, they're not what they're saying they are. And then you trying to prove that we're not the Israelites, it's going to be shown that we are the Israelites, man. Let's get another scripture. Isaiah chapter 59. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19. Right? Because you Edomites are going to lose your minds, man. You're going to remember your real nature. Isaiah chapter 59, which is violence. Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19. So they shall fear the name of Yahweh from the west, which that's what's starting to happen as well. People are starting to hear about Yahweh. They're starting to hear about Yahweh Shai. And they don't like hearing it. Right? They don't like hearing people praising Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. That makes them feel icky in their stomach, man. But good. They don't like, they start shaking, man, when they hear that. So they shall fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him, right? And the Redeemer shall come to Zion. So in all the hatred of you Edomites doing this stuff to us, you're going to cause for the Messiah, the Savior of Israel, to show himself, man. Because he's going to have to save, because his Father wants him to save the Israelites, man, and because he wants to save them as well, right? And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. As for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Yahweh. My spirit that is upon me, my spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart from my mouth, not out of the mouth of thy seed, not out of the mouth of thy seed, saith Yahweh, from henceforth from forever. Which that don't sound like it's a thing for everybody. That sounds like it's very specific to a seed line, to a lineage, which you Edomites all of a sudden know about. It's not for everyone when it comes to people getting out of your country. But when it comes to the Bible, for some reason, you expect us to believe that it's for everyone. No, man. The Bible is the book for the Israelites. And if you don't believe you're an Israelite, your own self, don't even read it then, man. It's not for you. Because you might say, well, you ain't put us on the 12 tribe sign, so you're saying we're an Israelite. Well, okay. You make your own one then. Make the Holy Spirit guide you Edomites and you heathens. make your own 12 tribe sign, and let's see if the Spirit's working with that to make those people that you put on that sign start believing it. Because you've tried to make a sign, right? But those people on that sign, they don't believe that. They ain't buying it. They ain't believing that. But the sign that's been made by the Hebrew Israelites, the people, when they see themselves on there, they start being like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I've always kind of known that these groups seem to be oppressed equally. Romans chapter 9 and verse 17. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name will be declared throughout all the earth. And that's the only reason why you Edomites are ruling, man. The only reason why you've been given all this power to earth is the same reason why Pharaoh was given power over the Israelites for 400 years, man. So Yahweh can show his power, right? That's the only reason. Therefore, he have mercy on whom he will. Therefore, he have mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will. He hardeneth, and you Edomites' minds have been hardened, man. And that's why, despite, if an Edomite watch this whole video, they're not going to believe it. Or they're going to say, yeah, but that might be true, but I can stop it though. They ain't going to believe it. Verse 19, thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault for who have resisted his will? And that's a thing that's another talking point people will say. Okay, so you're saying we ain't got no free will. So why is God angry then? Well, he can do what he wants to do, can't he? When you can make a whole earth, right, and a whole universe, and a whole galaxies, and animals that flow with the earth that you've made, right, and make the people create things and make everything flow together, then you can do that as well. And until then, shut your mouth, man. When you can make your own planet, that's when you can start making people asking questions like that. But you can't do it, can you? Right? Romans chapter 9 and verse 19, thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault for who have resisted his will? Nay, but old man, who art thou that replies against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me dust? If Yahweh didn't decide to make Israelites, Edomites, Moabites, Ammon, Philistines, Egyptians, or any of these nations, there wouldn't be no nations, man. So we can't question him on nothing. It's just that we as Israelites got a lucky side of the draw, right? But someone has to play every single role. Some people, according to the Bible, were born blind, right? Didn't God tell that to Moses? Who made the blind, who made the deaf, right? Wasn't it me? So some people were born to be blind, some people were born to see. Some people were made beautiful, some people were made not beautiful, man. Some people were made handsome, some people were made not handsome. Some people were made tall, some people were not made tall. Some people are born rich, some people are born broke and destitute, man. Some people are born with not being able to use their legs. Some people are born with legs. In fact, the majority of people are born with legs. Some people in this world are bold and can't grow hair. Some people in this world have got long hair, man. Some women are beautiful, some are not. Some women are obese, some are not. Some are skinny, some are not. Right? And just like how people can understand those truths, some people are born to be the Israelites and rule the whole earth and have been given the faith of the Lord to do outstanding works of faith, right? And some people from the same nation have been born without any faith, man. And that's what the scriptures mean when it says, not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. And that's Romans 9 and 6. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about how there's some people that are Moabites that are Israel. That's stupid. No one would accept that to be true when you replace the words of Israel without being the word Israel. No one would accept the same, for they are not all English, which are of England. Would anybody accept that to be true? They're not all Africans that are of Africa. People would be like, nah, that ain't true. And that and that's why when someone comes from another country to England, and then the children grow up in there, these Edomites ain't trying to hear them people say that they're English because they was born here. They're like, nah, but originally? Well, what about originally? Yeah, okay, yeah, mate. Yeah, fair enough, mate. But what about originally? That's what they say. So how about we say that to you Edomites, man? You're saying that you're British. You're saying that you're Caucasian. You're saying you're American, Swedish. But what are you originally? Edomites, man. And that's what it is. And that's what you don't want to accept, but you're going to have to. Right? You're going to have to accept it. Just like how all the Israelites out there, that they don't want that burden. And they want to just be black. They want to just be a black rapper. Or a black basketball player. Or a black actor or actress. They're going to have to accept that they're Israelite, man. They're going to have to accept it. Romans chapter 9 and verse 20, neighbor, old man, who art thou to replies against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Have not the potter power over the clay, of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? And didn't God do that? He did it more than once, really, because he made from Adam, Cain, and Abel. And when Abel was killed, he made Seth, right? That's from one vessel. And he made from Isaac 2 vessels, Jacob and Esau, right? One's received honor and one's going to receive dishonor, man. Have not a power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if God willing to show his wrath? So what if God wanted to show what his wrath looks like, man? That's what he's saying here. What if God willing to show his wrath and to make his power known? So what if God wanted to show what his wrath looks like and to show the magnitude of his power, right? Endured in much long suffering, the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. So it's saying, what if God wanted to show his wrath and wanted to make the strength of his power shown, right? And he endured the long suffering of a group of people that he had planned to destroy all along when he made them, man. Yet he suffered their wicked ways for generation after generation, for thousands of years, right? What if he did that, right? Just to end up making them build up themselves so great to where no one on earth can stop them, but only him in the heavens can stop them, man. Only the Father and the Son can stop them, which the Father and the Son is not a singular thing, man. Yahweh is himself, and Yahweh Shai is himself. They ain't no he's fully God and fully man BS. That's madness, bro. They ain't no God came down to the earth to sacrifice. No, it's the Heavenly Father didn't come down to the earth to sacrifice himself, man. That's ridiculous. That's what the Christian church has said. But even the Lord's Prayer proves that that's not true. Verse 23, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy which he have afore prepared unto glory. And the Israelites, I'll say it again, man, the Israelites have did a lot of wickedness, man. There's not one Israelite that has not sinned. Yet despite all the sins that these Israelites have got, ultimately, all of them are going to receive salvation. And it begins with the elect to the nation of Israel, man. The elect to the nation of Israel are going to get the kingdom first. And through them receiving it, all of them are going to receive it. And there's a scripture that I can read to show that, man. Romans chapter 11 and verse 20, Romans chapter 11 and verse 32. For God hath concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. In fact, let me go up a bit, man. So lock here, 1 second. Romans chapter 11 and verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. And this scripture, Romans 11 and 26, is interesting because you got these Christians that they try and say, oh, the olive trees, they're grafted in. That's what they say, right? The olive trees, man. We're grafted in as olive trees. Excuse me. We're grafted in as olive trees, right? That's what they like to say. But when you read all that talk about olive trees and all of that talk, right? It then goes on to say, and so all Israel shall be saved. Letting you know that both the olive trees are Israelites, man. The wild olive tree are Israelites that didn't keep the laws. And the natural olive tree are Israelites that kept the laws, man. Simple as that. For this is my covenant with unto them when I shall take away their sins. And that covenant is mentioned in Hebrews 8th chapter and Jeremiah the 31st chapter, 31st verse to the 34th verse, man. Which is another thing that these Christians don't like to read. Verse 28, as concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes, but as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. So there's certain Israelites that are enemies, just so that certain prophecies can be fulfilled, man, and so that the power of Yahweh's election can be shown. Verse 29, for the gifts and calling of God are without repentance. So Yahweh ain't gonna feel sorry that even though everyone's an Israelite, or even though not everyone's an Israelite, even though all the people that are Israelites can say that they're Israelites, that all of them ain't going to receive salvation in a time of when he brings his wrath upon the earth. That's with God ain't repenting for that, man. He ain't feeling no pity for him doing that, because he could do what he wants to do, right? But as ye in times past have not believed God, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief, even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they also may obtain mercy. So the salvation of the elect is ultimately going to bring salvation to all of the Israelites, man. Because there's going to be, what does it say in the scriptures, man? Except Jehovah had left a small remnant, we should have been as Sodom and we should have been as Gomorrah. So even if we go back to times past, man, because Moses prayed for Israel, we as Israelites right now got to exist. Because if we didn't, Yahweh would have just destroyed all the Israelites and made a nation out of Moses, right? And if we even go back further, right, we could say something as all people on the earth. If Yahweh didn't decide to show mercy unto Noah, and if Noah didn't find favor in his sight, every human on the earth would be destroyed, right? But just like how people can understand that, then they better understand how through the remnant of the Israelites that are going to receive salvation make it, that's ultimately going to lead to salvation for the whole nation, man. Because reincarnation exists. But that's the thing that Christianity don't like to teach, because they know that then when we talk about the Atlantic slave trade and judgment, that would mean that they are actually deserving of what we're saying, man, because that is them. So of course they're not going to want to believe in that. Let me carry on back in this. Romans chapter 11 and verse 31, even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they may also obtain mercy. For God have concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. And that's what it is, man. Ultimately, the elect of the nation of Israel that have got faith, they've got it because Yahweh gave it them. And in the kingdom, the Israelites that were not of the elect are going to be thankful that Yahweh had an elect, because they're going to see the kingdom and they're going to be like, man, this is beautiful. And I'm grateful that Yahweh had an elect, even though I wasn't of it. For those people that aren't going to be, they're going to still be grateful, man. They're going to be grateful for the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai, because they're going to know that led to them being in that place that they're going to be, man. Verse 33, oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and the knowledge of God, how unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. Because really, most people just say, well, he should have just made the kingdom to start with. But who are we to say anything like that, man? We might think that Esdras, he thought that in the scriptures, right? But he ended up getting humbled because he started getting asked questions, man, and he couldn't answer the questions. Verse 34, who have known the mind of the Lord, or who have been his counselor, right? And Edomites might complain about them being Edomites, man, but you at least got to exist, man. You better be grateful with that. You got a time to rule and all that. You got a chance to rule over the best nation of the earth, man. You had the time where the world actually believed that you were that nation. You got a time where people actually looked down on the chosen nation and looked up to the worst nation of the earth. So be thankful that God gave you that. You should be thankful at least that, but you're not gonna be, because you're a proud nation, man, and that's how you was made to be. Scumbags. Yeah? Or who have first given to him, and it shall be recompense unto him again. For of him and through him and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen. Amen. Right? So none of you people can say anything, man. Right? We can't say anything. If we said, you know what, I'll trade in my place of being an Israelite to one of these Edomites, because I don't think it's right that you're destroying them for no reason, and that you made them just to destroy them. We could say, you know what, can we trade in places? Yahweh ain't gonna allow that trade. He ain't gonna allow it, man. So all the point of this lesson ultimate was this, man. All the things that you Edomites have did, right? All the things that you've did against us, right? Is ultimately gonna lead into you getting the same things that you want us to receive, man. And let me get this last scripture. I think this last scripture is a good one to end the lesson on, man. And it's in two places. I'm going to read it in both places that it is. This is Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Right? There's a way that seems right to a man in his own minds. By the end of it, he dies, man. Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 25. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Right? And that's the thing that can be spoken out to you Edomites, man. The ways that you're doing things, you seem right in your own minds right now. But it's ultimately going to lead to Obadiah, the first chapter and 18th verse, which leads to your whole nation perishing, man. All the wars that you're having, even internally among your own people, all the hatred that you have for us, is ultimately going to lead into you losing. And you don't believe that right now. And that's why, even though you can get told it 1,000 times a day, you'd still do it, man. Because that's what you've been programmed to do. Right? And I'm going to end the lesson there, man, because this lesson's went maybe like a good hour longer than I thought it was going to go, man. And hopefully someone will hear it and they'll understand this, man. But either way it goes how it goes, man. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.